Welcome back to the program Restore People's Voice on VOP TV. FCTA Minister Nyesom Wike has accused soldiers of intimidating government officials who were trying to enforce a stop work order on a disputed land in Abuja, to be precise, and the soldiers allegedly acted on the instruction of a former Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Awal Sabairu Gambo, retired, who claims ownership of the land. Wike has vowed not to succumb to intimidation and has promised to resolve the matter amicably with the military, former Kaduna Central Senator, with the military man, okay? And of course, the former Kaduna Central Senator Shehu Sani has also advised the Federal Capital Territory Minister Nyesom Wike to exercise restraints in his engagement with security personnel. This discussion follows a viral video, which you're now been watching, showing Wike in a heated argument with a military officer over an alleged land grabbing incident in Abuja's Gadua district. We're now being joined by Barrister Lai Ademokoya, a public affairs and political analyst. Good afternoon, Barrister Lai.
Oh, Mr. Savior, how are you?
I'm doing very well. Barrister, long time no see. How is Abuja today?
Abuja is fine. You know, the way the country is, you have to work extra hard. So sorry, we have been busy.
Barrister, when you say the way the country is, we have to work extra hard, are you saying indirectly that you are doing about 2 or 3 jobs?
Well, I'm still doing only one job, but I've diversified into several other areas of practice.
Okay, so you're welcome on board. It's been a while, but
thank you so much.
Thank you for joining the program. And of course, in the studio, we have Mr. Elvis Elimehele, a journalist, a public and a political affairs analyst, a member of the Guide of Public Affairs Analysts of Nigeria, GPAN. You're welcome on board, sir.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much. So officially, this is your debut on the show.
Yes. Finally, I made it.
Finally, you made it. Okay, and you would agree with me that something really wonderful happened. I spoke with her less than 24 hours yesterday in the UK, and she said, I'm already at Heathrow Airport. Xavier, I promise you, I'll be with you on the show tomorrow. Okay, and she landed in Nigeria. And a few hours just had, a very short rest. And here she is in the studio with me. I'm talking about Mrs. Olaumi Oluwafunmilayo, a bachelor's degree holder in criminology from the Universities of Bedfordshire, UK, and a master's degree in counterterrorism, risk management, and resilience at the prestigious Crownfield University. You're welcome on board, madam.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
How is Nigeria?
I like Nigeria.
You like Nigeria, right? and hope you've been enjoying yourself for at least how many hours now?
Yes.
You've not seen the traffic yet?
Don't
worry.
There's traffic everywhere.
No, you just got here. Don't worry. We'll welcome you officially. We'll welcome you officially. All right, let's go back to Abuja, where we'll be starting with Barrister Lai Ademokoya. Since is our Abuja landlord for today, and the first topic happened in Abuja. So Barrister has to open the floor. Barrister.
Mr. Savior, I'm with you.
Yeah, Barrister, so since you are the landlord of the show today, so what happened with you and your minister yesterday, as regards to the land grabbing? What can you say about this particular situation? Because we actually saw different angles to the story. Here we know it's a civil matter. Why is the military, involved? But of course, the property supposedly belongs also to a military man, So we want you to dissect this whole conversation and give us your take as regards to what happened yesterday in Abuja.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Savior. So at least I was privy to the video that has been trending, in which the minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, was having a form of arguments and banter with a naval officer. Unfortunately, I must say that the both of them did not do too well. And the reason why I said that is because Nigeria is, let me address the issue of the officer first of all, before I go to that of the FCT minister. Nigeria is under a civilian rule. We are running a democratic government. And I must tell you that military, unfortunately, some people might differ, but that is the truth and that is the reality. Military is subject to civilian rule and subject to civilian government. A naval officer is bound by the orders of his superior, no doubt about that. But I can tell you that no matter the order they give you, you must ensure on your own part that the order is just, is not illegal, and is order that they can put to test of a reasonable man. If you look at in 2023, there was a similar case that the Supreme Court of Nigeria held in Onuse versus the states, that in responding to orders or in carrying out the orders of a superior in the military, the inferior, or let me say the junior officer, has to ensure that those orders are legitimate. Now, my concerns concerning this naval officer is that the duty of the military is to ensure security, external, to ensure security internally and externally, majorly externally, to ensure that Nigeria is able to maintain their sovereignty. So it's worrisome for a nation that we are bedeviled with a lot of insecurity, that you will now see a naval officer, guarding a private property. That is really worrisome. But I must say that the FCT minister too did not do well. And the reason why I said the FCT minister did not do well is that Nigeria, a civilian government should operate with law and order. I've never seen, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, but I've never seen an instance where a minister, a home minister, will be the one carrying out enforcement by himself. It's beginning to make people to wonder whether there is a personal interest, because the institution of the state is headed by a minister. And now there are departments that their duty is to carry out enforcement. Let's assume that there are infractions on that land. I don't think it's the duty of the minister to go in person to go and try to enforce any form of demolition or to enforce any form of evacuation of any persons from that property. It should have been handled through the institution of the government, either by the Department of Enforcement, which they know the necessary procedure to follow, that everything will be orderly, everything will be tidy. There won't be this unnecessary rancor and unnecessary embarrassment that they've caused to the Nigerian state. And I'm also being careful of not saying so much because, I believe in the coming days, information will be coming out, because we don't know whether the dispute over that particular property, we don't know whether it's in court. Let's assume that it's a matter that they've already gone to court. Then it will be very wrong for the minister to even be there in the first place. So I believe that some of this information will be coming out in the coming days. But the minister did not do well. The naval officer as well did not do well. That's my own submission on it.
Okay. Thank you so much, Barrister Laya Demokoya. But you'd agree with me that you mentioned a statement saying that Wike shouldn't have, done all of this enforcement, by himself. Is there a personal interest? But you and I have been in this country where we heard that Wike has been taking over properties from people, revoking licenses and taking these Abuja properties like a personal thing, In some months, we've been hearing all of this. Even some rumors have it that some of his sons were given landed properties as well, okay? Including my colleagues in Abuja, who are also broadcast journalists. He mentioned one on national TV, which nobody can actually, when I use the word my colleagues, my counterpart, but not of VOP media. So, in this situation, if you can look at that particular video very well, you'd agree with me that You said it's a private property. Who is the owner of the property? The owner of the property is the former Chief of Naval Staff. And a former Chief of Naval Staff have the right to guide his property in any way. If you have a case with him, you were meant to actually discuss with him instead of enforcing it on your own. But of course, I will continue this after this call. Hello, good afternoon. Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, I can hear you loud and clear. This is Ina calling from Lagos.
All right, Ina, good afternoon. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon. This is a very interesting story to me. But let us look at it. I totally disagree with your lawyer. If you look at the statement of the officer, he said he had that the papers of the documents were correct and he's acting on a command. So as he's acting on a command, he must obey that command of a superior officer. So he's no more liable of his action unless he goes contrary to that command. That is the military code. But just I wonder why Wike will condescend so low to call someone a fool. Man, that is highly insulting and degrading of a minister. Really I wonder where the minister got those languages from to be said live publicly, man. But mark my word, Wike will be brought low after 2027 election. He is biting more than he can chew.
Okay.
He's becoming a nuisance to this government, and mind you, he's outliving his usefulness. And after 2027, mark my word, Wike will be brought down.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ina, for calling. And Barrister, I don't know if you actually heard Ina's call. He only said he disagreed as regards to you
respond to that.
Okay, please go ahead.
I would like to quickly respond to that. We must understand that Nigeria is a democratic state and there are laws. Unfortunately, you cannot play to public sentiment when it comes to issues of law and order. I must tell you that under the Land Use Act, there's a Land Use Act. And under the Land Use Act, all lands, I just didn't want to go there initially, but all lands are vested in the Minister of the FCTA, all lands within Abuja. There are lands that are vested in the state, which is the responsibility of the governor of the state to administer everything that concerns that land. As a matter of fact, for you to know the level of the power that the Constitution and the Land Use Act gave to the Minister of the FCT, and also gave to the governors in the state, you can have a land and the minister can revoke it. The mere fact that they issue you a certificate of occupancy or a right of occupancy to a property does not mean that when government asks need for it in the nearest future that they cannot revoke. The only thing they are entitled to do is to ensure that they pay you compensation. So anybody that is saying the minister cannot exercise a power over a land within FCT, I'm sorry, the person is ignorant and does not know what he's saying. The minister can exercise powers on any land within FCT. But the thing that we should now understand is that's why I said we don't know some of the information that is ongoing. Some things might be speculative at this stage. Is the matter in court? We don't know whether the dispute is already in court.
Barrister, I just want to ask you before I come back to the studio now. I want to ask you. You used a statement. You said that since it's a civilian rule, it's democracy and all of that, that the military can take orders from a civilian. The only civilian that they are permitted to take orders from, to the best of our knowledge, is the commander-in-chief, who happens to be the president. So, do you think it is right for Wike to have spoken to your own Navy officer and immediately he listens to him and leave the property? Do you think it would have been okay?
What Wike did, like I said earlier, is all shades of wrong. Number one, he doesn't have a right to call an officer in uniform fool. You don't insult an officer that is on uniform, and you have to respect the military of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So let's assume that as a minister, you to have regard for constituted authority. You will not come and be disrespecting a military officer. That's why I said earlier on that the issue should have been handled with wisdom. Ordinarily, a minister of the FCT should not stoop so low to be the one that will be enforcing an evacuation order, or to be the one that will be enforcing a demolition order. And this is the first time I'm seeing it, so I was even surprised. So let me just, to buttress what you said earlier, it now begins to make people to wonder whether there's a personal interest. Because if there's no personal interest, why don't you allow it's a big ministry, why don't you allow your enforcement unit to handle it? That you have to go there in person is rather unfortunate and embarrassing to the nation.
All right, thank you so much, Barrister Lai Ademokoya, for that open speech. Okay, but you cannot escape from this one because that's your landlord over there. You live in Abuja, is your landlord for now until they appoint.
Until 2027.
No, until they appoint someone else for you. Because if you're still going to continue like this, then it's still going to be your landlord for a long time. Let's come back to the studio, Mr. Elvis. What can you say about this situation of the best, because that's how some people call him, the best minister in Nigeria, who has been working, constructing flyovers from the south now, in the north, the capital territory to be precise. What can you say about this?
Well, Mr. Savior, I think I was one of the first persons to analyze this story yesterday when it broke.
Okay.
In our own 6 o'clock news, world news at 6.
Okay.
POP.
Yeah.
And when I watched that video, I was taken aback. For a public servant as high as a minister of the Federal Capital Territory, going so low, stoop so low, to such a young boy who is probably an age mate of his son, having such an altercation with him, Wike demeaned the office of the Federal Minister of the Federal Capital Territory. Take Wike out of it, but that office must be respected. Anybody could have been in that office. And that office must not be filled with people with such questionable character in public relations. You don't use such garrulous language, such demeaning language, even if you are used to it before, or by the time you are appointed into such an important office. Try as much as possible to have, even if it's a crash program in public relations, so that you know how to address issues. We are not a motor park. A minister is not a motor park house where you have, opportunity to use free language and such garrulous languages. You see the way the officer, comported.
Very, no. He did well.
Let me remind you, if you watch that video very well, Savior, you see, he has his subordinate behind him who were armed, but they were waiting for their Oga to actually just handle the matter.
That's it.
And these guys were armed. What do you think would have happened in such a situation? See, let Nigerians take out the messenger out of this matter and look at the message. The young military officer is just the messenger. He was sent. Which he couldn't have disobeyed the command of his superior. Take this troop there and guard that property for me. That's the language from his superior. And that was the job he was doing. If there is any issue on that land, what stop Minister Wike at that level with such high-ranking officer, former Chief of Naval Staff at that same level, to trash it out? This your property at so place has issues. Can we meet? This young man that he was abusing publicly wouldn't have even been there. He wouldn't have even degenerated to this level. I was expecting such to have happened in a decorum way.
Mr. Elvis, let me just buttress this statement now. You are mentioning that why didn't even call, the former Chief of Naval Staff?
Yes.
You would agree with me that Wike brought out his phone or whatsoever, wherever the phone came from. Yeah. Instead, he rather called the
Chief of Defense Staff.
Chief of Defense Staff. So if you can call a current Chief of Defense Staff,
why don't you call
the owner?
The owner of the land.
Of the land. Who actually put his boys there?
I say, okay.
Who sent a commission officer?
This is what I'm hearing. One of your sites. My boys went there and your military guys are there. They didn't allow them to do what they are supposed to do. That there is an attrition in that land. Can we meet? This one would have been sorted at that level. Then Wike drove down himself. That's an ulterior motive behind it. We're still going to hear more about it because for him to now start acting as an enforcer of law, a minister, shows that it is not just what we saw there yesterday. There must have been an ulterior motive that led the minister with all his security paraphernalia to move down. What were they trying to go and do? To go and force those military boys there out of that place? Do you know what that would have meant? So if people are saying the young man or whatever, I didn't see the first mistake came from the minister, and he allowed it to escalate to the level it degenerated to yesterday, and it brought a lot of disgrace to that office of the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory. Take Wike out of it.
Okay, so let me open up this conversation. The former Army Chief, Brutai, he said with what Wike has done, he has to apologize not just to the Commander-in-Chief of Armed Force, which is the President, also to the Nigerian, military, and of course to the gentleman.
Even to the young man.
Yes, to the young officer. To that young officer. And he also mentioned that this is actually a threat to, to Nigerian security.
Paraphernalia,
Yeah, so he talked about all of these, that it shows that their security, sector has been threatened by politicians, And I saw the first news I will be getting from Wike's camp today was also from Lere, who happens to be a spokesperson.
I saw
Lere
that
said that the former naval boss got got scammed.
He was scammed, yes.
That he thought he bought the land or he thought he owned the land, but of course they didn't tell him that the land was meant to be for recreation. Saying that we should be careful that if a young military personnel can talk to politicians like that, then that means that they can decide to do anything tomorrow and to take over. That's another coup d'etat and all of that. And why some are saying that for politicians to actually be looking at a military officer to be talking like this, that means they feel they are the biggest human, or like they are God, to every other person. But I would like to come to you, Madam Ayola. You've seen this whole news, and funny enough, I think before you took off from UK, before landing, Wike has already indulged himself in this public show, of altercations. What can you say as regards to this? And you being a counterterrorism expert, what can you say about this security breach?
First of all, I have to say, maybe Wike have tried to sort this out at the back door, and he couldn't.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Okay.
And that is why it came out but he aggressively cannot solve this kind of a problem. And that was the mistake he made, especially calling an officer, a uniformed officer, fool. That is beyond. He has passed a boundary, his own boundary, and he shouldn't have done that. So on that particular level, I think Wike owed the uniform officer an apology, and also Mr. President, because any uniform officer, either police or Navy or Army, we have to respect the uniform. If you're rude to the uniform, you're rude to the country, and you're rude to the president and to the head of the administrative. So on that level, I think Wike needs an apology to apologize. And when we look into the way he has handled the matter, first of all, the Navy officer, I was actually reading about it, and I think the Navy officer knew that there wasn't enough documents prepared for that land. And you cannot build. Look at Lagos. A lot of property have been demolished because they didn't acquire the right documents. Wike is doing his job. Maybe the way he has gone by it may be wrong, but he's doing his job.
But Mr. Elvis said,
Yeah.
he said, forget about the messenger.
Yes.
Let's look at the message. We understand that Wike was acting based on, his right as regards to being the chief of that particular ministry, okay? Going around, trying to sort land issues and all of that in Abuja. Sometimes, just like Barrister Lai said, that he can as well send, his team instead of going himself. And you said, maybe he has tried all he could, at the back door, but it didn't work out for him. But you coming out, knowing fully well that you meet a military personnel or you meet the Nigerian Navy there, why did you have to even, stoop so low to have such banter?
But you have to understand in Nigeria, a lot of people like Navy, they believe they're above the law. Have you ever seen a rich man or someone in a high rank being persecuted in Nigeria? No.
When they are in the opposition party? Yes.
That's why in Nigeria, why do you think everybody moved to a party if it's in government? Because in Nigeria, as far as Nigeria is concerned, Nigeria prison are meant for the poor, not for the rich. And until we learn to understand that there is no law in Nigeria, a lot of people are above the law. They misuse the power. And Wike took the step by himself because he knows he cannot send his men. So who is he going to send to deal with a Navy officer?
Okay, so
His office is too big to be brought so low.
I don't think so.
His office is equivalent to a state governor.
Sometimes there are some things to do
It's
yourself.
equivalent to a state governor.
Of course.
I mean, for him to be going to sites when there are departments in Federal Capital Development Authority that are responsible for enforcement of issues of this nature.
Perhaps he might have sent his team and the military, chase them off.
That's so much reason why he should have been trusted at that higher level in a decorum form. If he sends his men and his men were chased out, which means there are issues, then that land has an owner.
Yeah.
And he has the document, at least whether perfect or not, the name of the person presently that owns that land is on his table. And he can reach him. This is what happened in your site with my men. Come over. Well, the man will definitely oblige. And at this level of gangsterism won't have arisen. This is what I'm condemning. I'm not going to look at whether the young officer was wrong or not. But I'm looking at the Wike moving from his office with all his military entourage, his security details. He was also going for trouble. It's just that he met a much more superior trouble and he has to give way.
And with a very good composure.
Yes, because the guy was composed and he was ready to match him, word by word, in a very professional manner. Even when he was still saying, yes, sir, I'm not a fool, sir.
Did you see the angle of another footage where Wike was speaking with the CDS? Immediately Wike handed the officer the phone. The officer removed his hand from the pocket. While Wike was talking, he was actually looking at him, and he put his hand in his pocket. He was looking at Wike, and he was replying him. Immediately, he knew that this is the call from the CDS, and he got the phone. He removed his hand from his pocket, readjusted his uniform.
Yes.
Now he was ready to talk to another superior officer. But guess what? Immediately, the CDS heard from him, and knowing fully well that the person that sent this man to stay here is also a superior officer.
Yeah.
The CDS told him, let the situation be peaceful.
And
that is why Wike have to go by himself.
No.
No, let me tell you. That is why.
As well done this in his office.
Wike is an employee of Nigeria.
Wike,
there's nothing wrong in Wike going by himself.
No,
if you look at no.
For me,
I believe if you look at this, Wike may have tried to sort this out at the back door.
Okay, let me ask the barrister. Hello, barrister. Barrister, are you there?
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right, so Barrister, you heard Madam Ayola. What do you have to say about that? Are you in support of what she said, saying that Wike has the right, okay, to have gone there? Mr. Ivy said no. You understand? So I would like you to comment on this, please.
You know, it's not an issue of right or no right. It's the minister. He can decide on how he wants to do his work. But for me, I feel it's not appropriate that the minister should be the one. I want you to understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the minister cannot go to a land.
Of course.
What I'm saying is that it's not the duty of the minister to personally go and carry out an enforcement. You know, okay, that means it's just like you saying the minister should enter a bulldozer and be controlling it and be demolishing a property. That's not the work of the minister. He has his men, he has units in the ministry that they handle enforcement. The people that handle enforcement, they know how to handle it better. They issue notices. What they do first of all is that they issue the first notice, they issue the second notice, sometimes they even issue the third notice. After they've issued these notices, is at that particular point, they can now decide to move on site. Let's assume the minister was not there on this particular day. The incident wouldn't have degenerated to this level that it now caused the entire nation an embarrassment. It's not the duty of the minister to carry out such. If you are talking about rights, is the Lord of that particular ministry, so you can go there. But what I'm saying is it's not appropriate for the minister of the FCT to be carrying out enforcement of demolition. Madam Ayola was referencing the demolitions that were done in Lagos. I can't remember at any point in time that the governor of Lagos State, Sanwo-Olu, was present at those demo. They have their Department of Urban Development, Urban and Regional Development that handles all of that. They have the enforcement units.
Because they are dealing with commoners. It's different when you're dealing with commoners and while you're dealing with a Navy officer. Navy officer, they chase them away. Do you think you can confront Navy officer in Nigeria? Only Wike can confront them.
Hello, Barrister.
Hello, Mr. Sylvia, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. So, Barrister, Madam Ayola was actually replying.
Let me make you understand something. There is, in a civilian government, there is nobody that is above the law. The mere fact that a naval officer is there does not mean that the minister should be there.
Navy, the Navy thinks he's above the law. The Navy officer thinks he's above the law.
If you want to ensure that, we will still have the courts. Let's assume that as the minister, you are feeling that the military is oppressing. You can go to the courts, you can get an order, and the president can ensure that such orders is enforced. There are procedures to this thing. It's just like the earlier man said, we are not running a motor park country. You know, we are not running like a town kind of organization. So the minister ordinarily is not supposed to be carrying out enforcement. If there is no personal interest, there's nothing he's doing. They're carrying out enforcement of either evacuation or demolition by himself when he has units that can handle this in his ministry. That's my own point.
Okay.
Maybe they approach.
Thank you so much, Barrister.
Maybe they approach.
Okay.
Maybe it's because he used aggressive approach. That's different.
Okay.
He shouldn't have done that. But for him to take action by himself, why dealing with a Navy officer? Why dealing with the nation men? People in uniform?
Wike knows
that's
that
totally
he has
different.
this outburst.
Okay.
He cannot manage, situation of that matter. That's the more reason why he should have even stayed away from it. Because at the end of the day now, he brought down his reputation as a minister and brought a lot of disrepute to that same office of the Minister of Federal Capital Territory.
I don't think so.
Yeah, that's what I think.
I actually think he's doing his job.
That's what.
I actually think.
No.
There is a lot of properties that has been built in this Nigeria that needs to flood. Do you know why we have a lot of flood in Nigeria? Do you know why we have all this problem in Nigeria? Because who have built property on the wrong land without obtaining the right document, without going through the right channel, without doing the right water flood risk assessment, and at the end of the day, they think they are above the law, they cannot demolish their property.
Madam?
On this particular occasion, that land, Wike is doing the right thing, but the action, the way he has done it, That's why I'm against.
Madam, let me tell you,
Okay.
I'm not talking out of ignorance. I hold my first degree in urban regional planning.
Okay.
I started my journalism job in writing for housing and environment.
Okay.
For today, I know what the law says, and I know that in Federal Capital Development Development Authority, there are different offices that handle matters of this nature. There are offices that handle contravention. What is just happening there is that land is meant for a park,
Yeah.
a recreational park, and incidentally, if they even have the information,
That's the wrong English.
Incidentally. Incidentally, I'm coming. Incidentally, the weakest spokesperson I just told Nigeria now that the man was scammed. If they have all this information that okay, this land that is under dispute, there's something happening to it. Why don't they bring this matter to an office where it can be trashed out without this drama we saw yesterday?
But can you buy a land without not going through a solicitor to investigate the land for you, whether that land is genuine or not?
That's even where this Wike's ministry is culpable, because Wike ministry owns all the land in Abuja. Why is it that somebody why is it that some of his officers can also connive with scammers to sell a landed property that is meant for public park, recreational park, to an individual for residential development? It means his ministry is also culpable in this matter. These are something that is not.
But you cannot reference that.
No, we can reference. You cannot reference because his spokesperson has just told
reference
that the chief of Naval Staff that bought that land, he's scammed. Where is the origination? Where is this scam originated from? It originated from the ministry where he is superintending, which means there are some moles in his ministry who connive with people to scam Nigerians by selling public properties.
Perhaps before Wike assumed office.
Yes, it could be before Wike assumes office. But as far as this matter is now on his table as the minister, we will not begin to look at who sold it, but we will look at the person who is now in charge to trash out this matter amicably. And that's where Wike comes in.
I actually think this particular case should be taken to court and sort it out. Wike action may be wrong. Calling an officer fool, that is wrong. But the Navy officer may have even claimed that land on his own without going through any channel. And because majority of the naval officer, they believe they are above the law. And that is what here. So Wike is not 100% at fault, only because he called somebody a fool and the action in an aggressive way. But the Navy officer is at wrong, because if you look at the Navy officer, you can see he thinks it's above the law. And because it's quite difficult for Wike's men to deal with the Navy officer, this is why Wike is trying to handle this matter by himself.
So unfortunately that we can actually take the second topic today because the gentleman and the lady, they've been going head to head as regards to Wike's matter. So we have to just adjourn, this particular topic, to next time. Barrister Laya Demokoya, are you there? Hello, Barrister.
Yes, I'm in too, Mr.
All right, so Barrister, in less than 1 minute, can you just give me your final take as regards to this conversation?
Okay. Like I said earlier, I don't want us to lose the context of this discussion. The Minister of the FCT, under the Land Use Act and under the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, has the powers. That is not in doubt, and I don't want us to pass a wrong information to the public. Has the power, unless the law is amended, has the power to administer lands within the Federal Capital Territory. But my own point is that the way he handled the issue of the officer was not appropriate. He should have handled it with wisdom. He should have allowed the enforcement unit to handle it by sending notices, required notices. They know how to handle it better than it won't degenerate to the level it has generated to. Whether the minister can exercise power on land, that one is not in that. He can do that. He can even issue a certificate of occupancy and decide to revoke it. It's the power that the Constitution has given to him, unless it's amended. So we must understand that.
Thank you so much, Barrister Lai Ademokoya, for joining the program. And of course, I thank you, Mr.
Thank you
Head.
so
Thank
much.
you,
Thank you for having
Madam
me.
Thank you so much.
you.
You know, I felt the heat to an extent. I think we have to repeat this particular team again for another conversation. I love the head-to-head in the studio. But just to clear the air, that the views and opinion expressed by our analysts are solely their own and do not reflect that of our VOP media. If you love the world of sports, do ensure you wait, after this show to join Locker Room.